An elderly man, who had 5 sons, decided to distribute all his wealth among them when he grew old, thinking, "I no longer need money, I will spend the rest of my days with my children." First, he went to live with his eldest son, and initially, the son took great care of him, saying, "It is my duty to take care of you." However, after a few days, the eldest son became tired of him. He stopped showing respect and would even scold his father at times. The elderly man was not given food on time, nor was he treated with kindness. Eventually, the old man grew weary of his eldest son's behavior and moved to the second son's house. Similarly, the second son treated him well initially, but soon became indifferent, and his wife even spoke rudely to her father-in-law, saying they were already struggling, and now his father had come to make things worse. The poor old man quickly grew frustrated and moved on to his third son's house. The same pattern continued with all his sons, and none of them were willing to keep him for long. They each had excuses: "I have too many children to take care of, my house is too small," or "I am very poor myself." The old man begged them, saying, "I am your father, please have mercy on my old age and weakness," but none of them cared. One day, all 5 sons gathered and decided to send their father to a school, where he would go in the morning and return in the evening, and they would give him a small portion of food. When the father heard this, he said humbly, "I don't know how to read, I am old, my eyes are weak, and I can't see well. What will I do in a school? Just give me a little place to stay, and a piece of bread, and I will lie there quietly." But the cruel sons did not listen, and forced him to go to a school, far away from the village. On his way, the elderly man met a rich man on horseback. The rich man asked him where he was going, and the old man replied, "I am going to school." The rich man was astonished and said, "At your age, you are going to school? You should be resting at home." The elderly man shared his entire story, and the rich man replied, "Going to school is a foolish idea. Do not worry, I will help you." He took out a small pouch from his pocket, filled it with something, and placed it in a wooden box, locking it securely. He then whispered something into the old man's ear and handed him the box. The elderly man returned happily to the village, and when the sons saw him holding the box, they assumed it contained money. They did not ask him why he hadn't gone to school, but immediately began to treat him with great hospitality. They invited him to their homes and served him a feast. After the meal, the old man said, "Children, in my youth, I saved some money and buried it in the forest. I had forgotten about it, but today, while walking, I remembered it. I dug up the ground, and the box was still there. It will remain sealed until my death, and after I am gone, the one who treats me the best in my old age will get the largest share of this wealth." Upon hearing this, the 5 sons began to argue over who would keep the father. Wherever the old man went after that, he was treated with utmost respect and care. His life became peaceful and comfortable. After living in this manner for a long time, the old man passed away. The 5 sons buried him with great honor, held a grand memorial, and gave charity to the poor. After completing all the rituals, they decided to open the box. However, before opening it, the 5 sons began to argue about who had served the father the most and therefore deserved the larger share. They finally agreed to divide the contents equally. When they opened the box, they found a beautiful silk pouch that made a jingling sound. Eagerly, they opened the pouch, but to their surprise, it contained small pieces of glass. The sons became angry and started fighting among themselves. The villagers, seeing this, laughed and said, "Look at the wisdom of your old father. You were sending him to school, but without going, he taught you a far better lesson.